All right. This is Xander Fox. Um, and I guess I should get my slideshow going here. So, this is my disability sport presentation for physical activity, uh, 3060. Today I'm going to do an overview of wheelchair basketball. So, what is wheelchair basketball? Well, it is a form of basketball that just makes the sport more accessible to more people. So people with lower body impairments are able to play basketball. They don't need to run and use their chair. So fitting place to start is origins and history, I believe. So it was first played in 1945 by World War II veterans at a administration hospital. The first national wheelchair basketball tournament was in 1945, and in that same year, the National Wheelchair Basketball Association was formed. But that's the United States National Wheelchair Basketball Association. The Canadian one came later. 1948, across the pond over in Europe, a game called netball was actually becoming popular with World War II veterans. Um, and So in 1955, a team called the Pan Am Jets, an American team, were invited to play in the International Stoke Mandeville Games. I think I said that right. Um, so it was an international netball tournament, and the Jets were a wheelchair basketball team, but they figured, hey, let's go try this netball thing out. They went, they did really well, and this kind of piqued the interest of other countries that were at the tournament, and that's kind of what started the popularity of wheelchair basketball. So there's a citation. That information's from IWBF, International Wheelchair Basketball Federation. Now moving on to some Canadian history. So in 1986, Canadian Wheelchair Basketball League was formed, the CWBL. In 1994, the formation of the Canadian Wheelchair Basketball Association. Oh, sorry, they were formed in 1994, and so in 2009, they actually changed their name to Wheelchair Basketball Canada. I think that sounds a little better. I suppose they thought so too. And then our first Canadian Paralympic appearances were in 1968 with our men and 1972 with our women. This information is from the Wheelchair Basketball Canada website. And so let's talk about where I can play. So you can play in lots of different places. I've already talked about two of them. There's the Lethbridge Wheelchair Basketball Association. I know, Ian, you've talked about that in class quite a bit. We also have a provincial organization. So Wheelchair Sports Alberta has a spot on their website for wheelchair basketball. They also have other sports there as well, but we're focusing on the basketball side of things. Wheelchair Basketball Canada, as we talked about, and International Wheelchair Basketball Federation. So we're going to kind of talk about the membership for all these associations here. And sorry, I almost forgot the Paralympics as well. Sort of linked with the IWBF, but obviously is a Paralympic sport as well. So the local membership. So we have the Lethbridge Wheelchair Basketball Association. I actually reached out to them and got this information from them on their website. There's not a whole lot of information, but you can contact them through Facebook, and that's what I did to get this information. So roughly 25 members. They have ranging differences in ability. So they said that they have people with paraplegia, Special Olympians. They have short people, old people, and something I thought was funny. They said they have people who really love basketball but just have sore knees, so they like playing wheelchair basketball. They have free drop-in sessions and equipment provided, so you can go every Thursday from September to May, 6:45 to 8:15 p.m. Go try it out. You do not need to have a disability to try that out. Provincial membership. So Wheelchair Sports Alberta has 7 associations within it. They are associations from Lethbridge, Medicine Hat. There were 2 from Calgary, 2 from Edmonton, and Grand Prairie. And this was taken from Wheelchair Sports Alberta. And then national membership. So we have 10 out of 13 provinces and territories are members of the WBC. So they include British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, Newfoundland, and Labrador. So pretty much just not the super northern provinces there. Yeah, this was also taken from Wheelchair Basketball Canada. So the rules for the game, they have the same net height as running basketball and pretty much the same court as well. So same distance to the foul line, 3-point line, etc. You can score 1 point, 2 points, 3 points. 1 point would be for a free throw. 2 points inside the 3-point line. 3 points were for outside the 3-point line. I believe that's the same as regular basketball. Not regular, sorry. Standing basketball. You are allowed 2 pushes of your chair without dribbling. So, yes, you can put the ball in your lap and move your chair. The only thing is, if you were to give more than 2 pushes, that would be a travel. There's also no double dribble rule. So if I put the ball in my lap, I gave myself 2 pushes, took the ball out, dribbled the ball, that would be completely legal. We already talked about a travel. You're only allowed to be inside the key for 3 seconds. Did not know. And you're obviously not allowed to aid yourself with your lower limbs. So you can't use your legs to move your chair or pick yourself up out of your chair. Your butt has to stay seated in your wheelchair. All right. So classification. 4-point tiered system. You're tiered on your level of ability or inability, sorry, and scale from 1 to 4.5, used in Alberta, Canada, internationally, in the Paralympics. You're tiered based on your level of disability. So kind of already mentioned that. And you're allowed 14 points on the court, 5 players at a time. That was taken from the Paralympic webpage. So I've got the IWBF and the Paralympic committee listed there. We'll talk about classification a little more, though, later on in the presentation. So equipment. There's a picture of a chair. They're usually made from aircraft grade aluminum or titanium. This is so they can be super lightweight. And they have more than 2 wheels. So you can see in the front here, there's 2 wheels there. And they also have the big wheels to the sides. Some have only 3 wheels, some have 4 like this one, some have 5, some have 6. But I believe you need 3 wheels to compete nationally and internationally. The wheels are angled outwards. That's just to give you some more support, stability, and also kind of help you maneuver a little better. And then the front bumper. Front bumper has to be, it doesn't have to be, but they're angled so that they don't get entangled with other chairs. Because you're going to hit people. It's kind of inevitable, but you don't want to get caught up in other chairs. You want to keep playing. So some strategies. One of the strategies is to get proper chair position. So you kind of want to position yourself. You kind of want to come alongside your opponent in their chair. You can't just ram into them. So you kind of have to come alongside them and try to stop them that way. Um, but it's really common to use the boundaries of the court. So you can kind of use that almost as a wall where obviously your opponent can't go out of bounds with the ball. So if you can get in between the court and them and kind of wedge them between the out of bounds line and you, then you're going to be pretty effective at stopping them. You also want to give less shooting space to your opponent. So you're in a wheelchair. There's only so close you can get to somebody because your wheelchairs are preventing you from getting closer. So you kind of have to be strategic as to how you position your chair. If you position yourself right in front of somebody, you're facing them, there's quite a bit of room to shoot. But if you turn your chair to the side or you actually turn your back to them, you can get your hands a lot closer to their face and their hands holding that ball. And this information was actually taken from a YouTube video I watched from a channel called Warrior Care. Video is actually pretty cool and talked a lot about these strategies. So some evolution of the rules. So in 1964, the IWBF modified some of the FIBA rules. They did that to sort of make the game a little more suitable for to be played in a wheelchair. So yeah, in 2017 we had some international rule changes. They included warning sounds during timeouts, so just to prevent delay a game. And they also angled this front hub or that bumper. They changed the angle, so it has to be a certain angle, 200 degrees maximum on that external angle there. This was taken from Wheelchair Basketball Canada. Now, I remembered something I was going to say about those rule changes. So they didn't specify exactly what they changed from the FIBA rules, but you know, things like a rule I read up on was the ref can stop the game if a player tips over and they think they're going to get injured, they can stop the game there, kind of thing. So little rules like that, just to adopt it to be played in a wheelchair. So we've talked about the organizations, the rules, the equipment. Now, what about competitions? So there's the Paralympics, obviously. Here's Team Canada playing in Tokyo. You can also, so the International Wheelchair Basketball Federation also has their own world championships. This year upcoming, I think they're in Dubai. I don't think they are in Dubai. And on their website, you can also take a look at a bunch of other tournaments that are featured on their website. There was quite a few there. Nationally, the Wheelchair Basketball Canada, we have the national championships through the Canadian Wheelchair Basketball League. And then another competition I saw, or the competition, but another thing I saw on their website that was interesting was the Holiday Hoop Fest. So it's a 3-on-3 fundraiser tournament, just to promote youth being active in Canada. Provincial competition, we have Team Alberta, and they would compete at that national competition we just talked about, the CWBL national competition. But you can play on Team Alberta, and here's a picture. The guy is pretty excited to be on Team Alberta. Local competition. So here's a picture of our Lethbridge Steamers. So we talked about how you can drop in every Thursday and play wheelchair basketball, but this is a competitive team here in Lethbridge. They play in the Prairie Wheelchair Basketball League. And they actually said that typically is one turn a month from November to March, and uh, they play teams from Edmonton, Calgary, Medicine Hat, Saskatoon, Regina, Manitoba. They're all part of this Prairie Wheelchair Basketball League. So pretty cool. So okay, we said we were going to talk about classification a little bit more, and that's just on the differences between international competition and otherwise. So locally, provincially, and nationally, you do not have to have a disability to play. Internationally, however, you must meet a minimum impairment requirement. Um, so they have a list of recognized impairments, and those impairments were taken from the 2021 IWBF player classification manual, which is cited down there. And we also have the Wheelchair Basketball Canada, where some of this information was pulled from. Okay, so how would I go about teaching this in an adaptive environment? So I would want to make sure I had enough space to play the game. And I would think about the equipment. So the chairs, I didn't mention earlier, but they run from about $2,500 to $5,000 each. That was pulled from the Wheelchair Basketball Canada website. So it's pretty expensive. Not a lot of people have that much equipment. So if we were to play this in our class, for example, we might use the scooters that we see here. I would use things like skill extensions, modifying the skill, closed to open skill progressions to kind of teach this game. And we're going to kind of dive into each of those three. But all this information upcoming is pulled from our course textbook, Inclusive Physical Activity, written by Kasser and Little. So skill extensions. So this first thing is not really a skill extension, but I probably want to start with a warm-up. We're not used to, most of us are probably not used to just using our arms to push ourselves around. So I don't want to make sure nobody's getting hurt. We're going to warm up first. But then we're going to start kind of gradually easing into the game. First, we want to get comfortable on the scooters or the wheelchair, whatever we're using. And maybe just move around. Maybe we play tag. Maybe we practice. Maybe we set up some cones and practice just going around the cones, just to get comfortable moving ourselves around on those scooters. And then we could add in the ball once we're comfortable, and maybe we start statically. So we're lower to the ground. That's new for us. Maybe we just start dribbling the ball stationary, or rolling the ball around on the floor, and then we can move to more dynamic. So maybe we're moving with the ball, trying to get to the other side of the court while dribbling, or maybe we're going around some cones, things like that. We can modify the skill. So maybe dribbling isn't something that we can do. Maybe dribbling is quite difficult. Well, we could change the game to rolling the ball. So we roll the ball around, and hey, maybe that's more enjoyable for everybody because it's easier to steal the ball, easier to move around with the ball, and it can be more fast paced. So that was an idea I had, was rolling the ball around to modify the skill. And then close to open skill progression. While we're getting used to ball handling and moving around on the scooters or the wheelchair, whatever we're using, we don't want to start off right away with having defenders. So we've kind of already talked about the close skill progression. All of the things listed already would be close skill. We're not having any defense on us, anybody trying to stop us from succeeding. And then we could add defenders once we're comfortable there. And then it comes to playing the game. So how could we maybe modify the game to make it more enjoyable, more accessible? Maybe we make the court smaller. So depending on who you're playing with, little kids might have trouble getting all the way down the court. The court's so large, you're on a scooter, you're not going to run as fast, or sorry, you're not going to move as fast as you would when you're running. Um, so uh, maybe we make the court a little smaller. Another thing is maybe we make the hoop bigger. So if our group is having trouble getting the ball up to the net, uh, or struggling with the hand-eye coordination to shoot that ball accurately, we can make the hoop bigger. So we've got this trash can here. That's what that picture is sitting up here for. We could use something like a trash can like this to make the hoop bigger and make the game more enjoyable for all. And that is all. So I hope that was informative. And yeah, thank you.